As I was speaking with friends throughout the holidays, many of the conversations ended up being about 2020 and how glad we were to see the end of a very challenging year. The chatter went something like this: I'm so glad we have a vaccine, and I cannot wait for 2021. Well, here we are, 2021, and it's starting off kind of crazy, and some people are already looking at 2022. With those conversations swirling in my head, I started to think about when we get back to being social again and in person and more swashbuckling to be done, whether at meetings or concerts, restaurants or bars. What will I say? I hope I can say something more enticing than glad 2020 is over. That already sounds boring and small talk. I have a tendency to be very shy and an introvert when it comes to networking and conversations. I start to panic a little bit. What am I going to say? Is it going to be meaningful or funny? I've been cooped up all year and I've worked a lot, which I'm very grateful. I've cooked a lot, read some books, reorganized my closet. Nothing too exciting. So, how will I suddenly become network savvy once the world becomes uncaged? I literally didn't do much. It's been kind of boring. No swashbuckling here. So, my goal is to be a better conversationalist and act with interactions that are meaningful because I never want to take those interactions for granted again. I remembered some time ago at a TGIF meeting, Brad Plum and I were actually talking about networking. We discussed how it's not easy for everyone, and I admitted to him that I really struggle with networking. He and I even thought about having a master's class about networking might be a good thing and might be kind of fun. Now, all this time later, I'm still struggling and dreading this topic. How do some socialize and network so easily? And then myself, I get so tongue-tied and shy and frustrated with myself that it often looks like I have this mad expression on my face when I'm really just kind of internalizing and upsetting with myself. And then I just close up. I want to network well and say something other than glad 2020 is over. But how? Well, I went to trusty Google and typed in networking. It seems there are one or two other people in the world that struggle with this very same skill set. There were hundreds of hits and books and articles and TED Talks and shows, and it went on and on and on. There was a lot of fun advice and fun facts. I will focus on two simple ideas. They seem simple anyway, and something that I can work on. And my hope is that if I pass those on to you today, if you struggle with this, it might help you as well. So the first is actually a collection of three words, PPP: practice, prepare, and present. Preparing questions and practicing those things can really ease your nerves. Well, then once I learned this, I thought, well, gosh, Kim, you're pretty lame if you've got to practice questions and prepare them. Ugh. However, it turns out that experts, celebrities, networking professionals, they actually do this very thing and admit that the more they practice, the better they get at the networking and a meaningful conversation. It reminds me kind of what we do here at TGIF in our speeches, practice. So how do we prepare and practice? You can do a few things. Review current events, which we have a lot of, within your geography, within your work industry, or just even prepare get to know you questions. So I have a few samples for you. Maureen, did you see that they approved some new transportation downtown? Is that something you think you might use when you get back to seeing concerts? Hey, Sean, I saw that construction is ramping back up in Kansas City. How will Hilti be impacted by that? Or Doug, We all know you love to golf. At what age did you pick up your first golf club? What we know about people is that we all love to be heard and valued. And if you take the initiative of asking the questions, it relieves some of that pressure and takes that nervousness away for you because the pressure's on them to answer those questions. Research states that even the best networking professionals practice and prepare questions prior to an event. The key is asking those questions, but utilizing the third P, which is to stay present for the answer and the response. If Doug tells me he picked the golf club up at 10, I need to be able to stay present and ask the follow-up question. Well, how do I prepare for that? Because I don't even know what he's going to say. Believe it or not, you can actually practice the follow-up questions too. As an example, hey, Doug, you picked up the first golf club at age 10? Wow, what's your favorite golf memory? Or Sean, that's great that Hilti is going to be positively impacted from the uptake in business. How is that going to change your daily work life? Maureen, now that you plan on using that transportation, what is the first concert you plan on seeing? All of these questions as you prepare and practice is really dependent on how well you do the second skill set, which is listening. You must listen to stay present. Listening is the key to successful conversations. Now, this is nothing earth-shattering. It's nothing new. We all talk about listening is the best thing for us. So the question is, why do people still need to tell us? Listen. Why do wives tell husbands, you got to listen to us? Why do we hear it at work? You got to listen. The answer's simple, because we just don't want to listen. Our urge to be heard and valued creeps up more than the urge to listen and stay present. So the key is figuring out what that balance is for each of us and for you specifically, and fight that urge to be heard and just blurt out, yeah, Doug, I've been to Torrey Pines. My goal is to have Doug, Maureen, and Sean walk away going, yeah, it was fun talking with her, because they're going to remember how we had the conversation, not particularly what was said. So if you can fight that urge and listen more, it's going to be more successful for you. All the professionals say the same thing. They got better at networking the more they practiced, prepared, and stayed present. So I plan on doing that, as well as listening with intent and with interest. Hopefully my nerves and a little bit of lack of self-confidence will work itself out as I practice these things. So I'm going to take those PPPs and the listening and put it all together and look forward to meaningful conversations with all of you as we get back together. Thanks and Happy New Year.